What if a woman's timeless appearance isn't about genetics or skincare, but about something far more profound happening within her soul? Have you ever encountered a woman who seems to exist outside the normal rules of aging? Her face tells stories of experience, yet carries a freshness that defies explanation. Her eyes hold ancient wisdom while sparkling with youthful curiosity. This phenomenon goes much deeper than biology or beauty routines. According to Carl Jung psychology, these women possess a remarkable spiritual alignment that literally reshapes how they experience time itself. Their secret isn't found in creams or procedures, but in a profound inner harmony that creates what appears to be a shield against time's usual effects. Jung would have immediately recognized this as evidence of the psyche's power over physical reality. When a woman achieves what he called individuation, the integration of conscious and unconscious elements into a whole self, her outer appearance begins to reflect this inner completeness. She embodies the eternal feminine archetype, not as an abstract concept, but as a living, breathing reality that transcends chronological age. These women haven't stopped time. They've transformed their relationship with it. What exactly creates this extraordinary quality? It begins with how they process life's inevitable challenges. While many people accumulate bitterness and resentment over years, these women practice what Jung termed active imagination, working creatively with their unconscious material to transform suffering into wisdom. They don't avoid pain, they alchemize it. Where others develop permanent scars from disappointment, they emerge with greater luminosity. Think of a woman who has endured significant losses, yet carries an inexplicable softness in her expression. She hasn't bypassed hardship. She's mastered the art of transmutation. The ancient Greeks understood two different experiences of time. Chronos, the linear, measurable passage we all track on calendars, and Kairos, the sacred, qualitative time where transformation occurs. Women with this timeless quality primarily inhabit Kairos. Chronos touches them, but never defines their essential being. They live in the eternal present moment where true renewal becomes possible. How do they achieve this remarkable state? The journey begins with what Jung called shadow work, facing the rejected parts of ourselves we'd rather keep hidden. Most people expend tremendous energy suppressing these uncomfortable aspects. This constant internal warfare eventually etches itself onto their faces, postures, and overall vitality. The radiant woman has made peace with her darkness. She's integrated her shadow rather than fighting it, freeing up enormous reserves of life energy that would otherwise be wasted on internal conflict. True youthfulness is the outer evidence of inner wholeness. From this integration emerges what ancient alchemists sought, the philosopher's stone of psychological wholeness. When inner battles no longer drain your vital force, that energy becomes available for continuous regeneration. The face relaxes into its natural beauty. The eyes clear as the fog of internal struggle dissipates. The body stands taller with authentic, unforced confidence. But something even more remarkable happens. Their very experience of time transforms. Jung discovered that the psyche operates according to its own temporal laws. He called this phenomenon synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that point to a reality beyond simple cause and effect. Women who embody this extraordinary quality seem to participate in this alternative experience of time. They've cultivated what Jung termed the observing self, a part of consciousness that can witness life's dramas without becoming completely identified with them. This inner stance allows them to watch their own aging process without fear or resistance. They age as conscious participants rather than helpless victims. This creates what Jung called the transcendent function, the bridge between conscious and unconscious that makes genuine transformation possible. This psychological achievement generates a kind of temporal field around them where conventional aging laws operate differently. Yes, they age, but in rhythm with their soul's evolution rather than the relentless ticking of the clock. Perhaps you've known women like this yourself. They move with a grace born of inner work. Their past wounds have become sources of strength rather than exhaustion. Their laughter emerges from deep wells of joy. Their silence carries palpable peace. Their presence awakens wonder about life's hidden mysteries. Modern science is just beginning to validate what Jung intuited decades ago. Epigenetic research reveals how our emotional states directly influence gene expression. Chronic stress accelerates cellular aging, while inner calm and joy promote regeneration. Even telomeres, the protective caps on our chromosomes that mark biological age, respond sensitively to our psychological state. What Jung called the collective unconscious provides these women access to an inexhaustible source of renewal. They tap into archetypal energies that femininity has carried for millennia. This connection creates something akin to biological grace. Cellular renewal processes function optimally. The body maintains its vitality. Women in deep contact with what Jung called the self, the archetype of wholeness, show measurable physiological differences. Their cortisol levels remain balanced. Inflammation markers stay low. Cellular repair mechanisms work at peak efficiency. The soul's serenity preserves the body's youth. This isn't mystical fantasy, but recognition of the deep interconnection between consciousness and physicality that Jung dedicated his life to exploring. He understood that psyche and body aren't separate domains, but different expressions of the same essential being. A shift in one inevitably affects the other. Jung also spoke of the religious function of the psyche, not institutional religion, but the capacity to perceive the sacred in ordinary existence. Women who cultivate this sensibility treat their bodies as temples of consciousness. This reverence protects them even on levels we might now describe in quantum terms. The radiant woman has also mastered what Jung called the art of letting die, releasing what no longer serves her growth without desperate clinging. She understands that each life stage requires an inner death and rebirth, and she moves through these transitions with grace rather than resistance. While others accumulate emotional baggage, she practices conscious release. She preserves only what nourishes her soul's evolution. Everything else she lets go before it can engrave itself as lines and shadows on her face. This release extends to external expectations and social roles. Jung called this the persona, the mask we wear in daily life. Those who over-identify with their personas become rigid. The radiant woman wears her masks lightly, like clothing suited to the season rather than armor welded to her skin. In her psyche operates what Jung described as the autonomous complex of the eternal feminine, an inner structure that functions independently of conscious, will yet consistently serves her highest development. This internal principle protects her from becoming rigid when women lose their natural cyclical rhythm and conform only to linear time. Through the transcendent function, she discovers a third way beyond the opposites of youth and age, beauty and decay, meaning and emptiness. In her presence, you feel it immediately. This woman is time's companion, not its adversary. She doesn't battle against time, she dances with it. The face becomes a living map of the soul's journey toward wholeness. Yes, a field emerges around her, where others sense time's weight momentarily lifting. Jung would have recognized the archetype of the wise woman, not as an elderly figure, but as the living embodiment of timeless wisdom. These women have deepened their connection to the collective unconscious, to the eternal feminine that constantly renews itself. The unconscious continually corrects the ego's rigidity through dreams, perceptions, and intuitions. In this way, they remain aligned with their authentic developmental path, avoiding the spiritual stagnation that typically accelerates aging. The extraordinary spiritual quality these women embody represents the harmonious integration of many Jungian principles. They've achieved what he called the union of opposites, balancing masculine and feminine energies within themselves, integrating light and shadow, embracing both strength and vulnerability. This inner marriage functions like psychological alchemy, transforming everything it touches. Their faces become living mandalas, symbols of inner wholeness that Jung understood as natural expressions of the self. The symmetry of their features isn't merely genetic fortune, but evidence of balance achieved through conscious inner work. The light in their eyes reflects the integration of all personality aspects into a harmonious whole. This quality manifests most clearly in their approach to suffering. Where others develop permanent marks of bitterness from pain, these women have cultivated what Jung described as a religious attitude towards psychic material. They understand that every wound contains the seed of its own healing. Every crisis holds potential for expanded awareness. The radiant woman has developed what Jung called differentiated feeling, the ability to distinguish between emotions that foster growth and those that merely perpetuate old suffering patterns. She can experience deep feelings without losing herself. She can weep fully without drowning. She can express authentic anger without flooding her system with toxins. This emotional maturity protects her from the inflammatory bodily responses that research directly links to accelerated aging. This doesn't mean she avoids suffering or pretends it doesn't exist. Rather, she's developed the capacity to hold what Jung called the tension of opposites, remaining present with difficult experiences without immediately fleeing or grasping for quick solutions. In this way, she prevents the inner fragmentation that typically hastens aging. Her nervous system remains regulated even under pressure, maintaining what researchers now term heart rate coherence, a state where breathing, heart rhythm, and emotions exist in harmony. This coherence profoundly influences hormones, immune function, and cellular renewal. The soul's peace becomes the body's medicine. But perhaps the most remarkable aspect of these women is their relationship with the future. While others cling to youth or fear time's passage, they've developed what Jung termed perspective thinking, the ability to recognize growth potential in every moment. They live in continuous becoming rather than nostalgic longing. This awareness generates a field of possibilities. They attract experiences and relationships that support their development, as if their clear intention for evolution summons the right circumstances into being. Jung would have called this synchronicity in action. Their faces reflect this future orientation. Instead of fixed features speaking of resignation, they display fluid expressions, faces capable of infinite responsiveness, eyes filled with curiosity about what life still has to reveal. Jung's concept of the unus mundus, the underlying unity of all reality, manifests in their being. They've achieved what alchemists described as the union of microcosm and macrocosm, a personal transformation so aligned with cosmic principles that their aging process unfolds in harmony with nature's eternal cycles. The spiritual quality they embody ultimately relates not only to their self-relationship, but to the invisible forces Jung called archetypes. They've learned to consciously collaborate with these universal patterns of human experience. From them they draw strength and renewal. In their presence, you feel this archetypal connection. They seem to contain more than their individual lives could explain, as if they've accessed the wisdom of all women who walked similar paths before them. This collective feminine grants them a timeless authority unrelated to chronological age. Their laughter carries echoes of the eternal feminine that Jung identified as one of the psyche's fundamental ordering structures. When they speak, you hear not only their personal voice, but something greater speaking through them, an expression of the divine feminine using their personality as its vessel. This permeability requires what Jung described as a flexible ego, strong enough to maintain identity, yet open to the transpersonal. A balance demanding years of inner work. Once achieved, these women radiate a clarity that transcends personal boundaries. Thus emerges what Jung called the conjunctio, the mystical union of conscious and unconscious, masculine and feminine, temporal and eternal. From this inner marriage grows what alchemists term the child of the wise, a renewed self carrying both the wisdom of experience and the freshness of new beginnings. The face becomes living testimony to this inner harmony. Women who embody this extraordinary quality have learned what Jung called symbolic living, an existence where every experience means more than its surface appearance suggests. This very attitude protects them from the existential emptiness that causes many people to age prematurely, as meaninglessness consumes their vital force. For them, each day, every action becomes a small ritual of renewal. Their relationships serve as mirrors for continued growth. Challenges transform into opportunities for deeper insight. This alchemical approach to experience ensures nothing is wasted. Every moment contributes to their evolution. This sense of purpose directly reflects in their physical vitality. Jung recognized that the psyche possesses natural healing power, an innate movement toward wholeness that operates beyond conscious will. In women with this extraordinary quality, this function is consciously activated and nurtured. A process of continuous cellular renewal unfolds from within. In this way, not only their appearance transforms, but how they inhabit their body. They move with the grace of someone fully at home in their own skin, regardless of its chronological age. At this exploration's conclusion, it becomes clear the fountain of youth isn't a mythical location somewhere distant. It's a psychological state accessible to anyone willing to walk the inner path of integration and individuation that Jung mapped so precisely. Women who embody this extraordinary spiritual quality haven't discovered a secret formula or magical recipe. They've learned to live in harmony with their psyche's deepest currents, to consciously work with the archetypal forces shaping human existence, and to maintain a living connection with being's transcendent dimension. Their apparent youth is actually an expression of spiritual maturity. Their integrity reveals itself in physical appearance that shines from within. They've achieved what alchemists call the opus contra naturam, the work against nature that paradoxically makes true nature visible. In their presence, you sense what human beings can become when they learn to consciously engage with the forces Jung explored. They represent not only personal achievements, but collective possibilities, proof that consciousness development can indeed reflect in the body. This extraordinary spiritual quality is essentially available to everyone. It simply requires the courage to begin the inner journey Jung named individuation, the willingness to confront your own shadow and integrate your own light, the decision to live consciously rather than automatically. The soul that walks this path discovers its timeless essence, and this discovery changes everything, including how we age. If this perspective on conscious aging resonates with you, please support our community by liking this video and subscribing to Winds of Thought for more explorations into psychology and personal transformation. Share in the comments which aspect of this timeless quality you feel called to cultivate in your own life. Your insights enrich our collective understanding of how consciousness shapes reality and how the soul's condition expresses through the body. Together, we rediscover the profound wisdom Jung brought to light.